Hey, Ralph, how are you? Thank you for joining me on the Courage to Fall podcast and for
Good
accepting to spend some time together.
good morning, Tony. Thank you for asking. It's a pleasure to be here today.
So, for the people who are listening, viewing, what, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Uh, so basically, I come from a long line in education. So I started working in education, give or take 21 years ago. That is quite some time.
Yeah,
Worked with some of the largest education companies in the world, and then eventually decided to uh, take matters into my own hands and start a professional development business focusing on uh, sales using AI. And then I got sidetracked into a couple of things as well, all AI related. But I would introduce myself as a trainer.
trainer moved from corporate to being your own boss.
That was the most gratifying part of it. So no toxic conference calls, no meetings about meetings. You just get things done. Now I do miss the corporate backing when you want to do something. You have an army behind you. Now it's just you yourself and me. It's like me, myself, and I. But it is what it
Yeah.
is. So it's yeah.
So tell me, let's go back to the period when you decided to jump ship because that's typical, right, of people
Mm.
considering moving from the corporate world to doing their own thing. Can you flash back? When did that happen? And what was the thought process or the emotions that were going through your head? And
So that happened in June 2024. So about a year and a half ago, give or take.
oh, that's fresh.
And so I did not make that decision. That decision was made for me. Uh,
Oh,
we had some issues. Yeah, we had some issues at work. There was some structural changes that I did not particularly like, and I kind of started phasing myself out, and then I started being phased out, and then I knew the axe was coming, and I just played it out, and I didn't have the energy to fight it. I just didn't want to fight it anymore, and I just thought, if I don't do this now, it's not going to happen. So when the axe finally dropped, I took a couple of weeks, probably a month, to just get my head together, get my thoughts together, and then I decided, okay, you know what, I can go for employment again,
yeah.
or I can just do my own thing and get to spend the time that I missed with my family while being in the corporate life and traveling from one place to another. So I decided to just completely jump the corporate ship, and then I started a company called Startup Early. And Startup Early focuses on professional development, specifically on sales. And I also work with small to medium sized businesses, mostly small businesses, to help them get off the ground and set up their sales departments in the right way. So that mindset of shifting, sleepless nights. I have to pay for my own insurance now. I have to pay for my own internet now. For the first time, I had to pay for my own phone bill. First time in 21 years, I had to pay my own phone bill.
Wow.
Just imagine that.
How did that? I mean, how did you? No one would. I mean, very few people would think about this.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
how did it?
Look, it was the first time in my life I had to pay for my phone bill. I had to pay for my own Microsoft account to use Word and Excel and all of that stuff. I paid for like a family account because I mean I've never paid for any of the operating systems and stuff like. I never paid for those because I always had a company laptop. I mean, just for the past 21 plus years, I've had a company laptop. And I've had a company phone, and I had company insurance, and I had all of that, expat allowance, schooling. It was,
Do you miss
it was
those?
just,
Honestly, do you
uh,
miss those? It
I miss
sounds like.
the money. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I do miss having that part of life taken care of for me. But then I realized that that is a small price that I'm willing to pay to be to control my own destiny, to make my own decisions, and not to go through what other people think is right.
Oh,
Because when you get to a point where you're working somewhere and the person that's running the show, you feel like, how did I get here? Right? That insurance and operating systems and phone bills and all of that stuff, that's a small price to pay.
so how long did it take you? You said about a month to make a decision whether to fly solo or to apply for another corporate job. So,
That took less than a month. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
it happened on June 14th, exactly,
Mhm.
2024. But I mean, who's keeping track?
Mm,
I was on gardening leave till end of July. Basically, when you're on a garden leave, you don't do anything. I mean, you're still employed technically, but you don't do anything.
right.
I stopped answering emails. People stopped reaching out to me, and so I took that time, and I came across a video, uh, AI over 40,
Okay.
and I've been using AI for the past a year and a half back then. I mean, I'm one of the
Mhm.
early adopters on ChatGPT. I subscribed to ChatGPT in February of 2023. So I mean, I've always been into AI, but I was using it superficially, right? That's when I saw this AI over 40. I started watching videos. I took every free training under the sun. I even paid for a few of them. And with the knowledge that I had gathered from AI specifically, and the background that I had in sales and business development, I thought, you know what, I was selling systems that ranged from $50,000 to multi-million. My biggest deal was 15.3 million. So I was like, if I could sell that for other people, I could definitely sell a few $1,000s worth of services on my own to sustain me. And then let's see how it goes. Right. So I'm in Lebanon. Most of my work has been in GCC. You know what? If I don't do it now, I'm not gonna do it. So that was the trigger basically, and the fact that AI could give me 5 assistants to get started, it seemed
Mhm.
to me like a no brainer.
Was it scary at the time?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, waking up the next day and with zero customers, right? So you have nothing. I started reaching out to connections. I'm on my own now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, doing that. But nothing really came from those connections because it was, I mean, I heard somebody say once, people are not against you, they are just for themselves. So
Yeah.
everybody had their own thing to do, and I wasn't top priority on anybody's list, which is something I came to make peace with later. And then I got into conversation with my first ever customer, and they kind of changed my business model from a one-time sales training, few hours, 10, 15, 16, whatever it is, number of hours, to something that went more into a consultancy mode development. So I trained their team over several months, having sessions every 2 or 3 weeks. And then I devised the plan with them where I would be coaching slash mentoring. I don't know which one works best here, and I don't want to
Mhm.
pretend to know the difference. But basically working with their sales teams afterwards, and figuring out whether the knowledge retention has happened and whether they're applying the concepts that they learned. And I went into the concept of the what's in it for me. So the same as your courage to fall, my concept in sales is the what's in it for me. If you can convince the person what's in it for them, as a
Mhm.
person, as a company, as an entity, as a vision, they're willing to invest the money. So I'm just making sure that they're following that. And that kind of changed my business model. And that business model became successful because it was telling companies that I'm not a hit and run. It's not a one and done thing. So I'm going to train your team, and I'm going to be with them. And I'm going to make sure that they applied what they learned. And we would space that out over a period of time. It doesn't matter whether it's a 2 hour training or a 6 hour training. I would still have a follow up session 1 month later, and I wouldn't charge them for it.
Very good. So
Uh,
it's built in. So it's built in your contract, give or take.
exactly. So, and I would always leave a last bit of a payment for that follow-up session, just to give customers that confidence. I'm not going away, right? Because there's,
Yeah.
there's this mentality that says if you have paid everything that you owe, why would they come back, right? Why would they keep doing this? And that was sort of my commitment to them. You're committing your time and effort and money with me. I'm going to make sure that I reciprocate some of that commitment in addition to actually helping your team develop.
I'm torn here. I wanted to take you back to the decision that you've made, but you're flying into what you're really doing and passionate about it.
Okay. Okay.
So let's see. Let's go.
Let's
Let's
go
go
back.
forward. No, no, no
Okay.
need, no need. Let's go forward because that's what's exciting you, or what's getting you excited about the work.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you picked what you do best, and you scaled it down in terms of invoicing, let's say, from
Yeah.
corporate to being on your own. You started by uh, by trying just pure training, and then you found out that how about I bundle training with mentoring the people who I'm training and doing a follow up, so extending that period a little bit, right? And you're
Exactly.
finding that
Exactly.
this is good for the business.
Yeah.
Um,
But let me
and
just interrupt you there. That did not come without failure, right? It failed with several other, prospects. It worked with my first
how
customer, and then
how
it
tell me,
failed with several other prospects because
yeah.
I was actually dealing with a mentality that they wanted to check boxes.
Mm.
So learning and development
Check
to them was just a
check
box to check.
boxes, meaning, oh, just to get it out of the way.
Get it? I have a couple of $1,000s I need to spend on learning and development, and I don't know who decided the number at some point, and then they would say, you know what, I wanted to cram as many trainings as I can into that budget, regardless of what the quality of those trainings are. And I've heard it from L&D managers and people that would tell me, look, I just need 6 hours of that. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm
Hmm.
not, I refuse to attach my name to that.
Hmm.
And because I want to work and I want to see results, and I want to see a result, and I want to get the feedback from the person who's on the street, going from place to place, meeting with people, telling me, listen, Ralph, this method worked, this method did not work for me. And I
Hmm.
wanted the negative feedback first,
Hmm.
because bad news first, right? This is how you learn. This is how you evolve. So what's really interesting about your podcast is the courage to fall. Is not a lot of people want to hear bad news. Everybody wants to hear the good news. So,
Good news, right?
I mean, we all love good news, right? But good news is still going to be good. Bad, if you don't do something about it, it's going to get worse, right? So the courage to fall, and in that sense, the falling does not mean failure. It means feedback, right? So you're
Good.
getting the feedback, and every setback you go to forces you into refining and sharpening your thinking, re-looking at your positioning, rebuilding stronger. And the courage, it's not actually to avoid the fall, right? The fall is going to
Mhm.
happen,
Yeah.
right? It's just about rising with a better strategy. So
Hmm.
it doesn't matter, Rocky Balboa. I love Rocky Balboa, right? And he was talking to his son once, and he says, "Nothing's gonna hit you as hard as life, and it's gonna knock you down. It's gonna beat you down to the ground, and it doesn't matter how hard you hit. It's still gonna kick your ass, right? So it's not about how hard you hit. It's how hard you can get hit and get up again. So though it's a movie and it's a fictional character, it's got a lot of
It
good things to
inspires
say.
you. It
Yeah,
inspires all of us, right?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I want to thank you. I've opened parentheses. Want to thank you because sometimes you go and you talk to people and they tell you where they started, but now they quote unquote made it. I don't think anyone really makes it, but that's my personal opinion. You make it in one angle of your life, but maybe you're slacking on in some other ways. But in
Right.
any case, uh, people who have the courage are people who have the courage to talk about it. And I
Yeah.
know you're not at steady state yet. I know you're growing, right? So, and to share that adventure with us all as you are growing, and to share these experiences takes courage. And thank you for that. Now let me ask you one question uh, uh, before we hit startup early, right? And talk more about it and sales. When the phone stopped ringing and the communication just dropped significantly, how did you take that at the beginning?
Yeah. So there's this uselessness first feeling, right? When you're getting
Mm.
used to, when every given morning you have about 60 plus emails in your inbox that you have to go through. And I'm not claiming to have a lot. I know there are people who have more than that. But I tried to refine the way I work to reduce the amount of emails, and 60 was the number that I was able to get to. Waking up every morning to have 60 odd emails in your inbox, your phone calendar flashing, you have calls and you need to prepare for stuff, and then move from that on June 14th, which happened to be a Friday. um, June 17th happened to be a Monday. I had none of that. And then I was like, okay, now what? Right. And then
Mm.
the next day, and then the next day, and then I get an odd email from one of the colleagues that I'm supposed to hand over some information to, hand over some. And so I decided that I would do all the handover in 2 days and get done with it. So the feeling of uselessness would last for 1 week, and then I need to start thinking over again. And this is, I don't know if you if you read a book called Indistractable by
No.
E.L. Nair. It's
Mm.
not indestructible, indistractable.
Mhm.
So you cannot be distracted, right? And that talks about time boxing. So I
Mhm.
time boxed the uselessness into 1 week.
That's smart.
And then it was okay. Feel
And get it
useless. Feel
over with.
sorry for yourself. Yeah, feel sorry for yourself. Sob about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it like a big B, and then khalas, done. Move on.
Cool. Good. Let's move forward. Start up early. What you're doing today. What are you really doing? What I'm interested in this part of the podcast is what are you doing today? What are your main challenges? And what
Okay.
are you doing to overcome?
Okay. So what Startup Early brings to the table is that we do not deliver a one-off training. We help
Okay.
in building the capacity over a period of time. So we don't only work on the skill set, we also work on the mindset.
Mhm.
And introducing that mindset is basically integrating AI into everything that we're doing. Now, a lot of people have resisted having AI in the workplace. Uh, Salespeople specifically have resisted that. We try to help them understand that you're not adopting a trend, you're adopting a leverage. So what we're bringing to the table is that mindset that AI is a leverage.
Mhm.
Just use it. It's near free, for God's sake. Just use it to make things better, and that kind of helped us improve the value proposition of what we bring to the table. Is that we help you change your mindset, we help you build capacity, we integrate AI into your teams, and these are the words that every entrepreneur and every business owner and general manager loves to hear. We make them faster, sharper, and more independent, and we reduce your cost, reduce your sales cycles. So that's these are not just punchlines. These things actually happen, and I to this day I still make cold calls. I made 5 cold calls yesterday. I booked 2 meetings.
Mhm.
I don't think they're gonna buy. I honestly don't. But
Yeah.
but I'm gonna meet with them all the same. If I don't buy them, I have somebody else to add to my CRM. You never know what happens in the future. And when I have those cold calls, and person would ask me, "How did you reach me? And how do you know this information?" I would say, "Listen, I can show your salespeople how to do that." So
Wonderful.
I,
Wonderful
I'm
pitch.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you. I
Yeah.
got to you. You own several companies. You're a very busy man. I got your cell number. It's kind of scary, right? But what's that? Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah.
It's, what's the worst that can happen? And
No.
that's what I try to tell people.
Yeah.
Exactly. They
It's
will
a
hang
no.
up. right?
Yeah.
They will hang up. Maybe they will curse. I don't know. Maybe they won't. You got to develop some thick skin. So what we bring to the table is that mindset of it's okay to hear the no.
Yeah. So take me. You said AI and sales,
Yes.
just like a storyline, and I have
Okay.
a small team. Explain to me what do you do? Because
Okay.
I think what I heard at the very beginning was a mindset. To change the mindset
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
because that's the resistance, the human, not even in the middle yet, the
Okay.
human to start adopting.
Okay.
Take me through something.
All right. So let's say you own a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a company or you're the GM of a company, you're a founder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a 15 man team, man and women. So you have a 15-person team. 5 of those or 3 of those or 4 of those are in sales. You have some in support. So it's a software company, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
serve you serve you create accounting systems, or you create CRMs, whatever. Just pick one. It's a software service, right? And what are some of the challenges that these specific companies are facing? I go and I research, and then I go research that company specifically. Okay. And then I would go on the website and I would use tools like Clay, Apollo, Perplexity to go and help me dig up information. I would use ChatGPT to dig up, press releases, to dig up trends. I try to find out who some of their customers are. I sometimes call if their customers, if there's somebody that I know in that company, I would call. And that would, because all companies are very proud of their customers and they put testimonials, but what salespeople rarely understand is that LinkedIn connections are 3 levels. So between you and Elon Musk, there's 2 levels,
Mm-hmm.
right? You must know somebody that knows him, or you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows him. So if between anybody on LinkedIn there's 2 or 3 level stops, right? And then just research those companies and find somebody there. And then when you call the GM, it's like, I was talking to so and so in X company, which is your customer, and they said I should be talking to you. They automatically want to listen. One, out of sheer curiosity to see what that company said,
True.
and 2, out of ego, because somebody went out of their way to mention them, and 3, how in the hell's name did you get to that person and then you got to me, and what is it that you're trying to sell me? A gentleman
Mm-hmm.
yesterday told me, what are you trying to sell me? I told him, I'm trying to sell you AI for salespeople. If you want to help your people do things faster, better, and sharper, and close faster, we can have a conversation. If not, you'll never hear my voice again. And he goes, I'm in a meeting, send me an email. I was like, would you trust a salesman who sends an email rather than keeps you on the phone? And then he goes, I am really in a meeting. I'm not dissing you. Just send me an email right now. I can't talk. And then he hangs up the phone. And I'm like, I don't have his email. So I texted him on WhatsApp and I said, listen, I don't have your email. So he texted me back his email. If he was
Okay.
trying to diss me, he would have just blocked me. End
Yeah.
of, right? I
Yeah.
sent him an email. He responds to me about 15 minutes later and he said, thank you, appreciate the approach, but we're not interested in this right now. I will save your number. I said, okay, thank you very much. You can't win everybody, right? So
Yeah.
back to us. So now I would research your company. I'll try to find some of your customers. If I don't find any of the customers that I know, I will try to look at some of the challenges that your company specifically is facing. I would do everything I would go out of my way to get to the person who decides. Because if you get to the top of the pyramid, you get a yes or a no, and you need a yes or a no. You don't need what we used to call in the corporate world a Mr. C. Mr. Seymour is somebody who always wants to see more. Send me an outline, send me a proposal, send me and
Yeah.
send me and send me. And you get stuck in this endless loop of sending documents that never get you anywhere. So you just pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, rehearse your call in front of a mirror, use AI to gather all of the information, and then be a human being and have a real conversation. So I'm not a believer in scripts. Scripts are for actors. In
Yeah.
sales, you're having a real conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
I pick up the phone. Hi, Tony. This is Ralph Azar. Um, I'm, I gotta warn you. This is a cold call. But I got your number from Apollo. Who the hell's Apollo, right? So Apollo is an online system. Apollo is an AI platform, etc. And I can start that with a conversation, and I could start that with the jokes like, this is a cold call, but a well researched one. So you want to give me 30 seconds, or you want to hang up in my face? what is this about? I'm a sales trainer that helps sales teams adopt AI to make things faster, better, and more efficient. And the human brain remembers things in threes
Mm.
always. You
Do
know,
you
like
by the way, Arabic
بحكي
with them?
عربي بحكي عربي اوقات بحكي فرنش حسب السيتويشن.
Ah,
Yeah.
cool, good. That helps a
Sometimes
lot.
I just speak Lebanese.
Eh,
So
good,
it
good.
depends. It depends who I'm. It depends who I'm talking to. And then I would just get started, and then the first thing I do is I would give them a way out. If you're not interested in having this conversation, thank you very much, and I apologize for taking your time. And then they would say, look, I can't talk now. Like, can we talk later? So sure,
Mhm.
no problem. And then immediately throw, because I would have my calendar right in front of me, and I would just throw a date and a time, which possibly will not work for the other person. But if I would say, let me know when the next answer is gonna be, I'll check with my assistant and I'll get back to you. But if you give a date, immediately they will say yes or no. And if they say no, and they would say, how about that? And then you would book that.
Tips
And
and tricks.
sometimes with very busy people, with very high profile customers, I intentionally say that time is not good for me.
Mm.
And because the busier the person is, the higher their position is, sometimes they tend to look down on people who approach them, and I'm not saying they're bad people. It's
Mm.
just human nature. I read a lot of psychology, so
Mhm.
this is just human nature, right? And they kind of tend to look down on the other person. So what you do is you show them that you are as busy as they are, and you level the playing field again. So you want to have a peer-to-peer conversation. You don't want to have an uphill conversation, right? And then that forces them kind of into giving you the next appointment. So the next appointment, even if you're not free, take it and change the other meeting, because they will not give you a third one.
Yes, yes.
So that's these are some of the tactics. So I call you up and I say, hey Tony, my name is Ralph Azar. I'm a sales trainer. And you tell me, you know what, I'm not interested right now in sales. Like, okay, fine. You're telling me you have the best salespeople in the country. You know what? Kudos to you. I apologize. Like, do you have the salespeople, best salespeople in the country? Well, we're doing all right. Where are you getting your holdups? Well, I got a pipeline full of leads, etc., etc. And then I would ask you about those leads. How many of those leads are you converting? Is it moving from one stage to the other? I mean, junior salespeople generally, and I've been there and I've done it. And I mean, and I am guilty as charged. You sometimes make up stories about leads just to keep your boss happy. You forgot to
Mm.
call somebody. You say, "Yeah, I called them, but they were busy. I couldn't get. They
Mm.
asked me to call them back later." Right? And sometimes you just make up feedback just to keep the pipeline stocked, and things are moving. And then once they get to that threshold where it's gonna either, well, the way I used to manage pipeline is I had noise, I had low probability, uh, I had noise, I had low probability, I had best case, and I had commit. So the commit is happening, right? Best case is it needs a little push. So when they move from that low probability into the best case, they just need another shove to get to the commit. And once they get stuck there, I know that something's wrong. I
Yeah.
either moved them too quickly. So I realized that most of the problems are happening in the lead qualification and lead progression uh, stages. And I would talk to you about that. And then I would say, look, if you're not convinced and you don't give me a meeting, I would say, give me a problem and I'll solve it for you. If I can keep you engaged in the conversation, give me a problem and I'll solve it for you. If I don't solve it for you, you don't have to proceed, right? And you would give me a case of, like, I got this client, so don't tell me names, just let's call him Mickey Mouse, right? So you give me a kind of a scenario, and I would do a simulation on AI. And if I don't give you the right answer, you never hear from me again. And this is where how relaxed you are with AI environments. You can jump from one to the other, try to figure out a solution that would actually help the person in front of you. And then if you solve the problem, or even try to remotely start solving it, you know what, Ralph, let's meet next week, Monday at 10 a.m. And I would like you to walk me through your training. And I'm always happy to walk them through the training. I'm always happy to share the material, because by the time I deliver that training again, the material changes, and I'm not attached to the material, because I just give them at the end, I give them a playbook. What they need to understand is that that playbook is just about the how. It's not about the what.
Oh,
It, so it's how you approach things. And if you follow it word for word, 3 months down the line, it's not going to work because the prompts change, the systems change, the algorithms change. This is just to have the mindset of using AI and
tools.
delivering the right and being able to create the right prompt. And then whether you're using Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or any of the other 500 million systems that have been created, the concept is still the same. When you drive a car, every car drives the same way. I mean, the buttons may change places, right? But it's still, there's one way to drive a car, right? And AI is pretty much the same. And then once I get to that meeting and we may disagree on approach, I'm happy to accommodate the approach, but I don't do one and dones. I would never do one and dones. And we may agree on the price, not agree on the price. Maybe it's not in the budget right now. It has to go to next year. I'm fine, but not every meeting converts. But every meeting is one more step to convert. And I'm very fast at qualifying prospects out, because you don't want to spend your time on a prospect that's going to waste yours. So this is basically how I approach. If we agree, I would love to meet your salespeople beforehand. So we'd have a half an hour. We talk about everything except sales. For me, getting to know them. So getting to know, like any business, you have an ideal customer profile and then you create the
Mhm.
customer persona. To me, having the ideal customer profile is the company, and then I go into creating the customer persona, which is the people that I would be working with, and that's where I'm able to deliver better to the people if I know them. If I don't
Mhm.
know them, it's gonna, and that engagement is gonna be for a while. So it's better to get to know them and be able to deliver information the way they need to learn. Being in adaptive learning for the last 20 years of my life kind of helped shape that.
Sure. So this is the process on how you would sell your own services. I'm sure when you engage with that company and with its salespeople, you teach this plus plus, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
What's
we play. So uh, what's his name? Jerry Seinfeld said once in his in his stand up shows. He said a lot of people hate to go to the funerals, and most people would rather be sitting inside the casket than reading the obituary, because people have that fear of standing up and talking, and same as salespeople having that fear of picking up the phone. They hide behind text, they hide behind email, they hide behind in-mail. Use technology, but when it comes to people, go analog. And
I
we
like
play.
that.
I would,
That's a cool.
I would,
That's a
yeah,
cool
yeah,
advice.
yeah, yeah. I would have them call my friends, and my friends would pretend to be customers, right? And I
Yeah,
would just pick up the phone. I would call a
I like
friend of
that.
mine, and and I would say, Sally, listen, you're gonna get a call today from so and so. They're gonna be trying to sell you that. On the first two calls, be nice. On the third call, be ugly. Okay, so okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And then we go into the training, and we just get started. Okay, come on, pick up the phone, call this person, see if you can sell the service, and they don't know that I know the other person, so it's
Hmm.
it's kind of fun.
What's a main challenge you're facing today as you're growing? A main challenge, or one or
Uh,
two challenges?
two actually. Finding the right talent to hire, and the pricing challenge I'm facing in the market. So finding the right talent. I mean, there are a lot of good trainers, and some of them are really really good. But I have a certain mindset in startup early that I'm not being able to intersect with anyone on, and it's that developmental mindset rather than the one and done type of type of work. So to overcome that challenge, as you know, I worked with universities for 20 years,
Mhm.
and I have connections in universities all over the country, and all over the GCC. So what I did was I went to a few universities, and I spoke to friends there, and I said, look, I need two graduates, fresh grads. The only skill I'm looking for is people skills. I want them to be personable. That's it. That's all I care about. And of course, and of course, coachability.
Mhm.
I want them to learn. I want them to be hungry to learn, because every technical aspect about training people, I can teach them, but I cannot teach them to be liked. And if you like the person you're talking to, and it's the tone of voice, and I tell people, when you're talking on the phone for somebody for the first time, stand up, don't sit down. If you have a mirror, stand in front of the mirror. Make sure you're smiling. Mm, Act as if you ran into that person into an elevator, right? You're not going to be sitting down on the floor of the elevator, and you're not going to be frowning in their face. You're going to be smiling. You're going to you're going to be having a conversation like a human being. So act like a human
Sure.
being. Give them a way out. So uh, basically, having those people that are likable, that are personable. I started with 2 people right now, and I'm training them, and they deliver the first part of the training, and then they shadow me on the rest of it. And the problems there, the challenges they're facing, is that you change every single time. How can we keep up with that change? I was like, forget about the content. The content is irrelevant. Look at the how. We understand the why. We understand why we're doing this. Forget about the what. The what changes every single time. Just focus on the how I'm connecting with those people, how I'm sharing that information, irrespective of what that information is. And that challenge is slowly being overcome. And it wasn't with experienced trainers, it was with 23-year-olds and 24-year-olds.
And
Right?
that's that's the number one challenge for you, is to find the right people, and you have to don't you want to train them on your own
Absolutely.
methodology, on your own, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And you're not
I
finding
want.
them. You're not finding
Well,
them.
I did. I found 2 already, but I do want more. But the problem is, a lot of universities and a lot of educational institutions, they always focus on the technical skills. They don't focus on the personal skills. They just started recently to apply that in schools, and it started, being applied in universities too. And the thing is, for a lack of a better term, I don't go to Ivy League universities and try to recruit from them, because there's a certain level of entitlement that I get there. I go to the tier. I don't want to call them tier 2, but it's just the
Hey,
society
listen, it's okay.
classification.
They are.
Yeah,
They are.
yeah. So
You
I
have
go I
the
go to
MITs and Stanfords out
yeah.
there, and you have tier two. It's okay.
So I go to the tier 2 kids where they are hungry. They
Yeah.
want to learn. And most of these kids had full-time jobs while going to college. Some of them were waitressing. Some of them were working, as baristas in coffee shops. Some of them were working as pharmaceutical sales reps. Some of them were working in administrative jobs. I mean, different jobs to make ends meet. Security, right? At the front desk of a major, like a major business center. And they would work in supermarkets. I mean, they work cashiers. It doesn't matter, because every job that they have taken has given them something. uh, Problem solving, objection handling, dealing with people, dealing with, disgruntled customers, who got really upset because the soup was not 67 degrees as it should be. It was 64 degrees. These people that handle objections like these, and that handle entitled customers like that, they are very coachable. They are easy to teach. They are easy to train. Technical skills, they come like that.
So
I
you
can
want to
give them
teach them.
technical skill. The
You
technical
want.
skills, I will
Mm,
I will I will teach them in a week, maybe
okay.
2. But those developing those personable skills, that takes time. But they
Good.
have to have the base.
Good. Let me ask you a question. You're getting these young people to train them to become trainers, or train them to help you sell your services? Both. Good.
What good a trainer are you if you're in an environment, somebody asks you what to do, and you cannot sell what you do? What does that say about me,
So
right?
that's an issue today, and
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
and and ideally you want as many as you can handle, right?
Yeah, because this is not a salaried job. They can still have salaried jobs. I pay them per project, and I actually pay them more than I get paid at this point in time because I want them, you know, I want to try to start taking steps back from the business, because if you're in the business, you're not running the business, you're working for the business. I'm still at a stage where I'm working for the business and running it at the same time. I want to get to a point where I take a step back and I start running it, but it won't happen until I transfer my mindset, my process to somebody else who can handle the work.
So what's the
Uh,
issue? I'm trying to understand. Is it the number of people you're meeting, not the number of
it's
people?
it's not it's just the time that it takes to develop a mindset. A skill set is developed very quickly.
Okay.
Mindset takes time, because once those people have those personable skills, once they have those good traits, you're able to enhance it and improve it. And but that happens over tens and hundreds of engagements, and those take time. To be good at anything, you need 10,000 hours. They need to do their 10,000 hours,
And
right?
you need the right people to spend 10,000 hours with you
Exactly,
and
exactly.
getting paid on success, let's say.
Exactly. So only hungry people would do that. If you're hungry enough and you go and you deliver a good job, then that person would recommend you to somebody else, and then somebody else, and then somebody else. And this is basically how I was able to grow the business over the last year and a half. It was purely word of mouth. It was purely connections, word of mouth, and cold call, good old fashioned cold calling. Just reaching people and having a conversation. So that challenge of growing that workforce, that takes time. I did my 10,000 hours, right, and I got to a point where I could have a conversation with just almost anyone. And there are still people who hang up in my face, which is fine. I mean, you know, but getting those kids to learn first how to deliver, then truly understand what they're doing, so that when somebody asks them, "What do you do?" it's natural to say, "Oh, I'm an AI trainer. I help sales teams, or I help administrators, or whatever it is. I help professionals augment and enhance their work using AI tools to make them faster, better, and more efficient." I want it to come as naturally as this came. Right?
Sure.
Once it does, then these people are able to deliver on their own, and then I can start taking. I mean, I already started taking steps back. So I steps back. I don't deliver the entire training. I deliver the latter part of the training
Good.
until they're ready to take it, and then I will start scaling back. And
Lucky them.
one of the questions I was asked is like, "Aren't you afraid that they would take the training and go sell it on their own?"
Good.
Go, you
Lucky
know.
them. Lucky them.
Yeah.
And the pricing challenge?
So the pricing challenge, I had a lot of issues with. I I don't. I mean, there are good trainers. Some of them are really good, but what they've done to accommodate is they've lowered their prices. And when you lower your pricing, you're telling the market that you're cheap. Um, and I refuse to compete on price. I compete on outcome. So how much is this costing you right now? Are you ticking a box, or do you really want to improve the business? Which is partially the reason I stopped working with big conglomerates, and I only focus on small to medium sized businesses where the general manager, the owner, the founder, etc., is involved in the operation, because it is their blood, sweat, and tears in there. And every dollar they spend with you, they want $3 in return, and they make sure to get it. Right. And these are the people I like to work with, because when you're in a training and the company owner is sitting there, everybody's laser focused. Most of all, him or her. I worked with a company in Dubai that had two co-CEOs, two ladies, lovely ladies. They were there front and center in every session we had. Every single session that we had, they were there front and center. And they asked questions, they participated, they encouraged their other teams, they kind of pushed them forward when I was asking questions and knowledge checks and all of that. And those people, I only gave them a 5% discount. And they gave me some of the best feedback, and they referred me to about maybe 4 or 5 customers afterwards. So
Wonderful.
for me, I would rather have 5 good paying customers than 20 that would nickel and dime me over a few $100.
Wow, almost an hour has passed, and
Yeah.
you didn't. It went so quickly. So tell me what's next for early startup? Where do you see it? What's
Startup early.
startup early? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So next I want to make sure that our positioning is focused on not just AI. AI is just a tool.
Okay.
Sales is just a vertical. Our role and our mission is basically help professionals deliver better on their own missions. And what I would do, the reason why I'm actually grooming the people I'm grooming now is to have that mindset, is to get them out of that mentality where I need to convince people to take my service or take my training or take my software. To I want to get people to understand that if they use this or if they take this, it will help them grow. And that's kind of the mindset. The way I want startup, the way I'm working on having startup early, progress and grow, is to follow that specific mindset and that specific vision. And today we could be training on AI in sales. Tomorrow, I don't know. We could be consulting. We could be helping, working as an outsource, getting outsourced sales teams for specific companies. I really don't know where this mindset is going to lead us, but AI is moving us in completely accelerated routes, and you just need to keep up, and you need to make sure that the customer does not get overwhelmed with technology and have technology become the aim rather than technology is the tool. Just remember that technology is the tool, it's not the goal. The goal is for a company to serve its customers and for me to serve them. Whatever we use in between is irrelevant, because that could change.
And my very last question, as I'm talking to you today, and I'm sure everybody else is watching, there's a picture behind you with 3 individuals. Who are those?
Oh, this is a little bit of an old
It's
picture.
right in the frame.
Yeah, this is Mila, my daughter. She's 13 now. This is Kevin. He's 11, and this is Jane. She's 16. This picture was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh,
But yeah, but I always keep it right next to me. And this is my reminder on why I do what I do.
love it. On that note, Ralph, thank you.
It's a pleasure,
What
Tony.
an
Thank you.
interesting, I've learned quite a bit. I've learned
Thank you,
quite
sir.
a bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you for having me today.